Stephanie Tan, The Tale of the Dolphin. Stephanie.
My name is Stephanie. I think you guys know that already. But this is my story, okay? There was this girl. Her name was Stephanie. One day, there was this girl named Stephanie. And her father worked in a dolphin care center. And every day after school, she went there. She always helped her father feed the dolphins. One day after school, her favorite dolphin, Polly, got sick. The owners thought that she would do better in the sea. So they put her in the sea and sent a boat to watch her. The next morning, they had a message that her tail was bitten off by a shark. And they quickly brought her back and saw the damage. First they thought they could not do anything for her. Soon, Stephanie's father came to pick her up from school and told her the news. Stephanie was really sad. Polly's doctor sat next to Stephanie and said that they were going to put a fake tail on Polly. And Stephanie said nothing. The doctor came out and said that the surgery was over and they had put in the fake tail on Polly and she could swim again and she was like a normal dolphin just with a fake tail. That's all.
Carsten Ledner, How Diamonds Came to Be. Carsten Ledner.
How diamonds came to be. In South Africa, there are a lot of diamonds. It is told that a great dragon king was old and wanted his daughter to get married. She would then become the queen. There was no one in the royal family she wanted to marry. So the king was a little disappointed because he would have to go into the peasants to get his daughter married. The king told the crowd, "My daughter needs to get married to one of you. If you impress me by making something unusual, then you shall have my daughter. If my daughter finds someone in the royal family, then that word is cancelled. You shall have 1 month until your option goes away." One day, a dragon king named Pingu wanted to impress the dragon king to win his daughter's hand. And he mixed fire, salt water, and melted limestone in a big red pot. Then he used both of his paws to scoop up some of the sparkling liquid. He really wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. He was imagining himself marrying the king's daughter. Suddenly he realized his claws were burning up. So he just dropped the liquid, and much to his surprise, there was a sparkling diamond. Pingu picked the picked the diamond up and was lost in thought. Now I can have the hand of the king's daughter. He flew out of the cave and into the blue sky. The birds all scattered in fear when they saw Pingu. Before long, he had arrived at Dragon King's palace. Pingu asked the guard to guide him to the Dragon King. They went through the big tornado gate, and found themselves in a big blue hall filled with doors that went into different rooms. The guard took him through a big, brown, strong door, and there he was before the king. The king was so impressed with the sparkling diamond that he said, "This is going to be our money now." Then he ordered that Pingu to make 1,000 more and to show other dragons how to make them also. Most importantly, Dragon King whispered in Pingu's ear, "You may take my daughter's claw in marriage." Pingu had 3 kids. 2 of them were females, 1 of them was a boy. Before long, they could make 2,000 diamonds in one day. They decided to open a jewelry store named Colada and lived happily ever after.
Is Kirk Ladner, Mount Everest, how it came to be? Kirk Ladner.
Mount Everest. Wait, that you never hear me? Mount Everest, how it came to be. No, Nepal was not. Did you know that Nepal? Did you know Nepal is famous for making ice cream? Where do you think Neapolitan ice cream came from? Let me tell you a bit of history. There was a hill on the outskirts of Mexico. One of Nepal's cities. Sometimes the Nepalis made so much ice cream, they dumped the extra ice cream on the hill. There were so many trees, the ice cream didn't melt fast. Before long, the ice cream started piling up. One day, some kids decided to go to the hill to get some ice cream. After they all had stuffed their faces, they raced to the top, and at the top, they had an ice cream fight. You've heard of snowball fights, haven't you? One little squirrel named Josiah was enjoying the fight until he got hit with one right in the gut. He fell out of his tree. He was furious. He climbed back up and gathered a big pile of acorns. Before you could say Neapolitan, Josiah had hit Ebola. He hit a guy right in the head. Some of the kids started throwing them back. Josiah's stash of acorns was hit. They all fell down into the ice cream. The kids started jumping on them. What they didn't realize was the acorns were magical. The acorns mixed in with the ice cream. Like a tree, the hill started to grow. A few weeks later, people started noticing that the hill was getting taller. Others said the hill is enchanted. Okay. One day, a kid named Junior decided to get to the bottom of it. I wonder what happened to that squirrel I saw a few weeks ago. I wonder if he's still mad. Junior started hiking up the hill. Before, it had taken about 3 or 4 minutes to reach the top. This time, about 10 minutes, he's still nowhere near the top. He paused to catch his breath, and suddenly realized he was looking right beside his tree. He couldn't believe it. Before, the squirrel's tree was at the top of the hill. Yet, this is weird. With goosebumps all over, he ran for his life. When he got to the bottom, he told everybody about his discovery. Mount Everest was born. The mountain that goes on forever and ever. The end.
Kevin Tan, at last! Kevin Tan.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Tan. I always wanted a cat since I could say mama or papa. But my mother always had her excuses, like no time to feed the cat and clean up its poop. So, one day, as I and my brother were homeschooling, I heard a very soft meow. I asked my mother whether she heard that, but she just said, "What?" I looked in the kitchen. Nothing. Then I went to look in the wet kitchen. The meow grew even louder. I looked at the back of the washing machine, and behind it, 5 pure snow white kittens with their mother feeding them. My mother, brother and I were mesmerized by them. My mother agreed to keep them. The following days were great, but 1 week later, all the kittens opened their eyes, which were green, except the whitest one, which had sea blue eyes. I decided to call her Snow Princess. At about 6 weeks old, we sold all the kittens except Snow Princess for 800 ringgit each. We were happy because we were rich and we could still keep Snow Princess. Since we love Snow Princess so much, we feed her good food like milk, salmon, tuna, and sardine. Snow Princess has a place for eating on the dining table. After every meal, Snow Princess will lick herself, especially her tummy, then do a beautiful dance for us. Snow Princess is a very smart cat. She can kill a mouse with a sidekick. She can climb up and down a tree in seconds. And whenever our family has a discussion, she would sit down and listen. Whenever she agrees, she would meow 2 times. And whenever she disagrees, she would wag her tail violently. And did you know? The princess is toilet trained. Whenever she wants to go to the toilet, she hops up the toilet bowl seat and then does whatever she needs. No mess. Snow Princess is 3 years old now and is still very cute and lovable. Thank you.
5. Valerie Tan, World of the Dogs. Valerie Tan.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, parents, friends, and judges. My name is Valerie. One pleasant afternoon, as I was sitting in my favorite swivel armchair with Shasha, my favorite sweet dog, I thought to myself, how wonderful it will be if Shasha understands everything I say. Suddenly, Shasha brought me to a very strange place. I tried conversing to Shasha if she understood what I was saying. I asked her, "Where is this place, Shasha?" Wow, I couldn't believe it with my own ears when she spoke with excellent Queen's English. You're now in a dog's world. When I look at myself, I was so hairy and fluffy, exactly like a dog. I looked like a chihuahua. Shasha then led me to her family. Her family were very friendly and hospitable. Shasha's father, Mr. Shishi, invited me to lunch with them. Their food were assorted juicy bones. They were so delicious. The dogs around the table were of all different species. The cutest was an elegantly dressed poodle. I was thoroughly enjoying myself that I didn't realize how the time had gone by. Shasha and I got up to leave. As I arose from my chair, I accidentally stepped into a puddle of dogs' discriminate droppings. With my arms flailing in thin air, I came crashing down. When I started to pick myself up, I became conscious of a familiar environment around me. I became aware I had fallen from a comfortable armchair. Shasha barked excitedly at me. She licked and jumped all over me. She must be wondering why I was on the floor. Shasha is such an obedient and kind dog even though she can't talk. She takes care of the family and the household very well. She's a caring dog too. Thank you.
Well, we went from dolphins to diamonds, Mount Everest, and we had cats and dogs. We went to a whole range. That was the contest for the 12-year-old and below. Phew, it took us on a very good adventure. Now, it's the time for the older children, age 13 and above. The first speaker told me he's very ready. As usual. The first speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is Aaron Tan, Crunchy Wing It, Aaron Tan.
My name is Aaron. Crunchy Wing It doesn't mean anything, but you should maybe understand by the end of my story. Okay, so one day, I get this call. It didn't say, I am watching you. It just said, would you like to be on the Crunchy skate team? And I was like, okay. Then they said, okay, well, we're going to make a movie, right? A skate movie. First stop is the KLCC. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll be there. So the next day, I get to KLCC, and we start skating, kind of causing trouble. So the guards, they kicked us out after an hour, which is a bummer, because we were having a great time. Great video shoot, too. So we decided to go to the KL Towers, because there are not supposed to be many guards there, we thought. So when we arrived there was a big crowd of people. They were like, Crunchy, Crunchy. So we were like, yes, a show. So there was this 50-foot ramp, right, coming down, 30-foot gap, and I landed. So I was up first. I go down the ramp, ollied off. Christ there, 900, and I landed it! Whoa, can't believe it. Great shoot. Yuki was up next. He's another guy. He's on our team too. He goes down the ramp. He does an airwalk. Christ, Aaron lands it too. Crazy, crazy. People going nuts. So we kept going on. Show went good. Skateboarding. Everyone loves it. So we got tired. So we decided to go to the PJ and then the skate park that's supposed to be there. On the train, it was empty. Awesome. You're at the Putra line, where the trains, they have metal seats, and there's no bugs. So we grinded it. And, back sides, nose grinds, tail grinds, 50-50s. Awesome. Kale even did a backside board slide, which is when you flip the board upside down and grind. It's very hard to do. Only 2 pros have ever done it. Then, we went out, had some A&W. And we went to the skate park where there were lots of other really cool skaters. Tony Hawk was there, Bam was there, LPG. I don't know what he was not doing. He was from France. I don't know what he's doing there. Food. Malaysian food's good. So then, we had fun. We went home. Right? We had a crunchy party. It's just all of us, an invited guest only. I'll tell you about that next time.
The speaker is Sean Chia, Mall of Hell. Sean Chia.
So before this whole speech thing started, I went to the bathroom because I had to go. Inside, when I opened this door, there was this flash, and suddenly there's this guy of 30-ish. He's standing there, and he's strangely familiar. I mean, I've never seen him before, but something about him so familiar. So I was about to ask him what the heck he was doing in the toilet and who the heck he was, but he read my mind or something. He told me he was from some other timeline. It was exactly parallel to ours, save for the fact that last meeting when I brought in the gum, I sure made it 3 extra steps. He said He was fixing my lives, different Sean Chia lives in different Sean Chia parallel universes that are practically the same. So it was sort of a selfish but yet altruistic kind of motive. So he was me, 20 years older, but you know, I didn't look so bad. He looked at his wrist, and there was this thing that looked like a overly complicated wristwatch. So he pressed a few buttons, and suddenly nothing happened. I got out of the toilet, but it was a little bit different actually, to tell you the truth. Because when I walked to the door with him, I was just walking down the stage, finished talking about some lame mall that I was prepared to say. So this was brilliant, I was thinking. So I squatted down next to the place, pressed my ear against the glass, and I watched the speakers telling the way. But then suddenly it was break time, so we ran off to someplace. I'm not going to tell you where it was, because you know, you'd look and then everything would go wrong. Or maybe not. But anyway, after the break I came back and I'm listening to all your stories and thinking, that's nice. And Ian's one, that was commendable, Ian. So at the end of the whole thing, I was feeling great, you know, because, well, actually, you probably don't get it, because my plan was to come last, no matter what, to find some way to come last, and mash everyone's story together in one big, whole, super tall tale. You know, maybe Polly the dolphin would climb on top of Mount Everest and get a jewel tail and Snowball comes sidekick or something. But then something else came to my head. So I turned to myself and I said to him, "Are you done yet?" And because if you're not, we can always do this again. And I was like, "Oh no, it's okay." So we walked back in the toilet. He pushed a few more buttons. Nothing happened again. And so I'm standing again. I open the door, step on Joel's shoes, come sit down. And a few minutes later, I'm standing up here telling you this. Now, you'll be wondering, you know that of course I haven't mashed together all the stories because I decided that compared to what I had gone through, that was kind of boring. So, thanks.
Speaker number 3, Elliot Tan, A Night in the Life of Elliot. Elliot Tan.
Okay, my name is Elliot Tan and I'm here to give you my story. One night, while I was peacefully sleeping in my bed, I heard a loud thump outside my doorway. It was Ethan, who was my brother, and he's still over there. Anyway, I was wondering, what is Ethan walking around in the middle of the night? Shouldn't he be sleeping? And I also noticed he was carrying a spade and what looked like a mat with him. So I decided to follow him. Anyway, Ethan unlocked the doorway and carefully stepped out towards the big dense forest that was surrounding our house. He walked for about 15 minutes to the east and then he stopped, looked at his map again, groaned, turned it upside down, started walking the other way. As he passed my hiding place, I noticed that the piece of paper he was carrying had a big red X on it. Light bulb flashed above my head. Pow! It's a treasure map! Ethan's found treasure! Gasp! So I just followed him some more. After about 5 minutes, Ethan started digging on the ground. I jumped out of the shadows and yelled, "Wah!" I could scream like a little girl and fainted. When Ethan woke up, I followed him on the shoulder and asked, "What are you doing out here then? Shouldn't you be in bed sleeping?" He stood up and said, "I found the treasure map, and when I found the treasure, She then said, but I found a treasure map! Treasure! Anyway, we all went to bed, and we never did get to see any of the treasure anymore, because when we went back to the hole, there was nothing there. But we did hear that Clark Kent had stopped working. Thank you.
Contestant number 4. Brian Tan and Open Gate, Brian Tan.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Tan. Even when you're not looking for adventure, it may still find you. My story started with 2 honks from the vegetable man. Bum bum! When the vegetable man, as he drove past my house and parked quite far away. My mother, this time she was in a hurry to buy from the vegetable man, for she was in the middle of teaching me and my brother. She left the gate and door grill wide open. And in that instance, adventure and danger entered my house uninvited. In the same way, a man on a motorcycle stopped right in front of my house. He marched through my gate and door grill. Luckily, my mother had locked the front door. But then, the man did the impossible. With one mighty kick, he kicked down the door. Kablam! He then approached me and my brother with a tool of death, a knife. I jumped for cover. I hadn't seen where my bro had gone, but I guess he had hidden too. Oh, he's not hiding around now because he's right there. Anyway, from my hiding place, I peeked at the robber, grabbing my mother's handbag with a couple of thousand ringgit in it. He then headed for the door. Ignoring my satyr self, I grabbed the family wall clock, jumped up on the sofa, and smashed the clock right on his head. The robber, stunned, dropped his loot. He then took a swipe at me. Luckily, he wasn't very accurate. I think it must have done something to do with his Lalaraj egg on his head. Still, he meant to slash me, some on my left arm. Ouch! Even though I believe I could have run. I took another hit. Wham! With the clock, it broke in two. The robber then took another swipe. He would have got my head up my head and slipped a few moments before the robber's knife then poised to strike me. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't all for my bro. My brother somehow had managed to sneak up behind the robber, my father's baseball bat in hand, gave the robber a good home run. The robber ran, never stopped to look back. I was a hero that day. Even though the cost of my surgery was kind of more than the money in my mom's handbag. Anyway, I will never forget that day where I and my brother outsmarted that robber. Nor today, as I share the story with you guys. Thank you.
Is Wong Jian Yu, chicken butt. Wong Jian Yu.
Good afternoon. While mothers dear may look severe, they have stories for us to hear. Ladies, gentlemen, judges and friends, I hope my story brings you cheer. It's about my mother, whom I fear. Her stomach growled in pure delight as she dreamed of landing a big bite. The bishop, her favorite bit. Oh, how she savored gobbling it. Never was she fully satisfied. I want another piece, she cried. Never did one more appear, as there was always only one rear. Then it sprang up like a cat. Alas, alack, why did I never think of that? Not a moment longer did she tarry. Off she went in a hurry. She cycled to her uncle's chicken stall, residing in Taiping's market hall, and home she came with a look of glee, for she was promised butts for free. The next day, after school, she cycled wild dollops of drool through east, north, south, and west too,
What did she care? Away she flew. Her uncle handed her the prize, 30 chicken butts, great in size. She started a fire with happy toil. Soon the butts were frying in oil. The butts turned a lovely brown. The smell drove her round and round. Please give us some, her siblings howled. They are mine, my mother growled. And so the selfish girl refused to share, leaving her siblings to watch and stare. She chomped them down, the heavenly taste. One by one she stuffed her face. But after 15, the meal went downhill. She turned green and started to reel. I must go on, she said bravely, although she was beginning to feel rather sickly. One went down, and then another. Finally, the last one. It was no fun, but at least it had been done. Never since then has my mom set her heart on eating 30 chicken butts. Thank you.
The sixth contestant is Jared Locke. Why would I lie? Jared Locke.
It was late in the day. The sun blazed down upon me, unbearably hot, as if it wanted to strike one last unbearable blow before it dropped below the horizon. I walked alone along the street from the train station, sweat pouring down my face as I toiled slowly towards my one goal, home and my comfortable aircon room. I was so intent upon the ground and the interesting cracks which had suddenly appeared in it that I walked right into this old man, very eccentrically dressed. He wore a monocle, a top hat, and a coat with coattails. What he was doing walking along the street on this searing hot day was a mystery to me. I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I totally didn't see you." He stopped, stared at me out of his monocle and said, "How kind." I was, okay. He dug into his pocket and pulled out a golden ticket and said, "Here, a small gift for your kindness." I took it from him and said, "Okay." Walking away, I read what it said. In a flowing black script, it read, "The invisible hand shall be yours for the life of one son." I read it again and again, not understanding the words. Then I stuck it in my pocket and said, "Okay, that guy's crazy. Let's go home." Soon afterwards, I reached my front door and dug into my pocket for my keys. They weren't there. Cursing under my breath, I turned around and saw my keys quite far away on the floor. Blinking and sighing exasperatedly, I turned towards them, only to find they were already in my hand. Shrugging it off, I opened my door and walked into the house. Hours later, I lay in my bed, about to write in my diary, when I didn't see my pen. Yes, I misplaced things. I'm forgetful. And my room, being the mess that it was, it's hard to find anything in it. Seeing my pen across the room, I looked at it, I got up, when suddenly it lifted off the ground and eerily floated towards me, landing neatly in my hand. Then it hit me. The man had given me telekinesis. For the next 24 hours I used this power, but it suddenly disappeared, and the riddle became clear. The invisible hand was telekinesis, and the life of one son was one day. I swear this is a true account. Why would I lie?
Speaker, Lau Ian, My Tall Tale, Lau Ian.
I only just managed to finish writing my tall tale. You see, I didn't want to join this contest. My mom forced me to. You have 2 weeks to write this tall tale, she had said. Until then, you don't come out of your room, eat, sleep, or even use the toilet. Do you understand? This started the most miserable week of my life. After 13 days, I still hadn't come up with anything. I had to eat my clothes to keep me from starving. I had to stick toothpicks up my eyes to keep it open. And my stomach was bloated with waste to the size of 10 watermelons. I looked like a boy who was 12 months pregnant. It's not like I didn't try. I tried. But for my entire life, my parents have been telling me not to tell lies, not to exaggerate, or not to make up stuff that are untrue. Every time I wrote something tall, my nose would grow long. As I continued to write, it grew longer and longer. I finally had to stop because it was now as long as the river Nile. Then I had an idea. I'd write about a cow. But the cow kept jumping over the moon away from me. Even the little dog laughed. And even worse, the dish ran away with the spoon. My body was another problem. It refused to cooperate. Every time I started to write something new, my hand developed elephantitis. It became so heavy that it wouldn't move. I finally had to ask Zunagar to spare me the elephant trainer to come and tame and take the elephant away. I also farted endlessly. The smell was like 176 sewage tanks combined. My vision was obstructed with a layer of green smoke. It saturated my mind, causing it to malfunction. This morning, as I tossed and turned in desperation for clean air, I noticed words lingering in the green and stinky atmosphere. I took a closer look and realized what it was. The tall tale that I had desperately been seeking for was there. Every word, every punctuation. I quickly rose to snatch them out of the air before they disappeared. At last, I've managed to compile it into this tall tale, which I will share with you now. Oops, I think time's up. Looks like you have to wait for another time to hear it. Thank you.
Eighth speaker is Ethan Tan. A series of fortunate events. Ethan Tan.
As you all can see, there's nothing fortunate about this at all. My arm is gone, and I seriously considered pulling out of this contest. I mean, my arm is gone. But I weighed responsibility versus extenuating circumstances, and responsibility won, because I'm a very responsible guy. And I'm not a sissy either. I wanted to pull up because I lost my arm. So, let me tell you how it happened. Me and my family went to the park for a walk one Saturday morning. We had a brisk walk. When we came to the park course, you know, the park course, we did the push-ups, the jumping jacks, and came to the chin-ups. I'd only done 7 chin-ups before I felt a blinding pain in my back. I actually fell to the ground. The pain was excruciating, and oh yes, Elliot screamed like a girl. And he fainted. There was blood everywhere. I blacked out and I woke up in hospital. The first thing I heard was, "Can you wiggle your toes?" I couldn't wiggle my toes. I realized I was paralyzed from the waist down. I couldn't move both my feet. And so in desperation, I listened to a friend's advice. I went to a chiropractor. He was a big South African man, and he massaged me, punched me, abused my back and my legs for 1 week, twice a week, 4 weeks. On the 4th week, something weird happened. He pinched my nerve clusters back here, and I felt pain erupt my left arm. And right then, I could move my feet again. I could walk. Of course, it was great walking again, but my left arm felt like an elephant was sitting on it. So I stopped going to this chiropractor, listened involving large needles, as well, followed by dozens of smaller needles, followed by a gangrene infection. My arm had to be amputated. And that is how I lost my arm. Okay, the moral of the story is, the one thing I've learned from all this is, never go to quack doctors, also known as acupuncturists and chiropractors. Thank you.
Speaker is Ian Chia. Battle for Kalindor. Ian Chia.
Purist Thunderaf gazed atop the hill at the forest in front of him. He knew that behind those forests lay waves and waves of gulls ready to destroy the beautiful land in which he came from. Beautiful in it, came a voice from behind him. He turned around. Sure is, Junero. But you know what we have to do. Junero nodded, grabbed his sword and headed for the line. At the line, Purist ran in front of his army, made of only 1,000 night elves, druids and treants. His army of 1,000 facing their army of 5,000 bloodthirsty ghouls, necromancers, and other undead creatures. He stood in front and shouted above the noise, "My brothers, today we face an army bent on the destruction of our land and our homes. But will they prevail? No! I say to you this day, we will not back down. We will stand our ground. We are the sentinels. We are the guardians. For Kalindor!" He let out a great battle cry, and all the army followed behind him as they rushed towards the enemy. Junero ran ahead, laughing as he diced through many of the enemy. Ahead, Purist saw the generals of the army, Kel'Thuzad the Lich and Akasha the Queen of Pain. Just as he finally saw the generals, it was too late. He saw that the Lich was chanting, getting ready a spell. He muttered, he cursed under his breath and dove backwards. A ball of ice exploded in front of him, sending shards flying in all directions. Some cut him on the arm and he let out a scream of pain. Junero saw that his friend was in danger but was too preoccupied with his own battles. While the Lich had gone for Purist, the Queen of Pain had gone for him. He nimbly dodged her spears but suddenly felt a sharp pain in his side. "You've been hit by one of my poison daggers. You won't live long," said the Queen. Pathetic. Junero gritted his teeth as he said, "That's where you're wrong." The Queen looked at him puzzledly. I am an orc blade master, and we don't die easily." He jumped up and disappeared. The Queen looked around to try and figure out where he had gone. Too slow. Junero slashed her side. She screamed in pain. Junero was dazed for a moment but quickly recovered. She threw a spear, but all it hit was ground. He came up behind her. "Now I've got you." It was too late. His blade went through her stomach, and she was finished. Junero pulled the blade out of her body and felt pain in his side again. Not much time left. While this was happening, the Lich had gotten Purist into a thick. Purist had been slashing, but to no avail because of the Lich's frost armor. So he had one last try. He tried one last thing, but it wasn't enough. Junero jumped in front just as the Lich finished the spell. And it was too late for Junero as well. So Purist finally used his last resort. He grabbed the Lich and shouted, "Agara Phil Nogarath." This gave him invulnerability to all magic, and since the Lich was made of magic, he melted right there and then. And this is the end of my story, as it's too long to go on.
Speaker number 10, Joel Tan, Coconut Trees. Joel Tan.
Good afternoon. My name is Joel Tan. Last school holidays, my family and I went to Penang for a holiday. During our stay, I met a tourist named Matt who was visiting Malaysia. He told me about what happened during his stay. He began, "I made 2 friends, Jerry, a Chinese boy, and Rahman, a Malay iPad. One day, I decided to go for a walk with them along the beach. While walking, we noticed two funny-looking coconut trees. I noticed that they were very peculiarly shaped. As we walked further, I saw an uncle selling keropok. I went to him. I asked him, "Uncle, can you tell me what happened to those two funny-looking coconut trees? Could you tell me what happened to them?" The uncle answered, "Like gong mea." So I was afraid and I moved off. And then Jerry said that the uncle was saying, "What are you talking about?" I saw an ice cream stall. So I decided to buy a few ice creams because we felt hot. While munching on the ice creams, I asked the uncle the same question. The uncle answered, "Oh, it's like this one." There was Mr. Coco, the bald one, and Mrs. Nut, the bent one. One night, God felt bored. He thought of doing something fun. So God took a star from the sky. He pitched the star real hard to this particular beach. And with the other hand, he zapped Mr. Coco and came alive. Mr. Coco gives a hard swing and misses the star. But guess what? Its accidental miss hit walloped out the whole top of Mrs. Nut's head. That's why you see a curve and a bald tree. I thanked the uncle and we moved off. I asked Matt, "Are you serious? How can this kind of coconut tree, whatever things happen?" And he said, and then he began to cry. And he laughed his head off and answers, "I was just joking and you've got cheated." I've got cheated. And so have you. Thank you.
Our 11th speaker is Lau Yishan, a conspiracy uncovered. Lau Yishan.
You're 11 now. Go.
You're 11 now.
Eat garlic, they're good for you. Carrots, they're good for your eyes. Green leafy vegetables, easy to go to the toilet. Lots of fiber, well, then there's no pimples. Have you heard that before? We are forced to eat vegetables every day by our parents. Huge chunks, sometimes even a whole plate full. Well, I almost believed the lie that vegetables were good for us until that fateful night. It was precisely 3:27 a.m. when I was awakened by chants and cheers coming from the playground next to my house. I slowly made my way toward the noise. It appeared I had stumbled upon a ceremony. No, a Vegemite. Carrots were dancing, broccolis bouncing, and spinach swaying all over the place. Worse, my parents were with them. Not only my parents, but your parents too.
What? Where do you live?
Well, then it got worse. Carrots, capsicum, cucumbers, tomatoes, potatoes, they all started climbing up the sides of this huge blender and throwing themselves into the swirling blades. A yellowish, greenish, gooey paste appeared. And to my horror, the parents all started to drink from it and wiped their mouths with satisfaction. Yuck! Then, a carrot slowly made his way up to the highest point of the playground and announced, "The army is ready! Soon vegetables will rule the world! And as for you parents, your wish will finally come true. Your children will be finally subject to your rule." So, the plan was to get children to become dependent on vegetables. And as more vegetables get eaten, the more return as waste and fertilizer to produce stronger, horrible, more tasting vegetables. Horrible tasting vegetables. So I had to put a stop to this. So I got on my bike, armed with a specially formulated veggie poison. I flew through storm, rain, snow, everything. And I sprayed poison all over the vegetable farms. Soon, all the vegetables were destroyed. And I had saved the world. I had saved you! Well, after that, over the next few months, groans, grunts, and moans could be heard from toilets all over the world as the pharmaceutical industry soared as the demand for laxative went up. Well, and the new Mercedes-Benz, BMWs could be seen on the street as the wealth of the dermatologists treating child acne rose. Well, one night at 3:27 in the morning, I woke up and I heard chanting and cheers from my playground. So I slowly made my way there again, and this time I saw Twisties, M&Ms, well, Pringles, Coke, and now a Coke bottle was standing where the carrot stood. Thank you.
Our next speaker has withdrawn from the competition, so that's the official end to all the speakers to the contest. So in the meantime, Shantini will be coming up here or there. She'll be taking over the floor to talk to us, teach us a thing or two, and enjoy with us. Gonna enjoy with us. She's listened to all of you. Now it's time for us to listen to her. We'll be back soon with the results. Okay. Let's give her a big welcome.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to give a big hand. Really, it was really wonderful to hear. You can't hear me? No, I can't hear you. Really like it in mic. I'll project. How's that? Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. Why don't I speak like this then? No, really, it was really nice listening to all the various stories, all the tall tales. It's wonderful. I do a lot of work with children, and I'm in theatre. I've been in theatre for the last God knows how long. And storytelling has always been my favorite. I love telling stories, and I do that. I have a little boy, and so I tell him stories all the time. I make up stories, tall stories, horror stories, whatever, and so which is one of the reasons why I was very, very interested in coming this afternoon. Just to give you a little bit of background, right now I do theatre with two different companies. One is called the Instant Cafe Theatre Company. That does political and social satire. That's where situation happens, and we look at it in a lighter side. So just to give you an example, we wrote a song about obesity, about how Malaysians are getting very obese these days because they're going to Burger King and McDonald's and they're not eating enough vegetables. Where's the Where is he? Yes. So I'll just give you an example of a song so to give you an idea of what Instant Cafe does, okay? We eat all the time, discuss dinner at lunchtime, supper at stalls with friends, eat banana leaf with hands, lick your chopsticks, also care. At buffets we go wild, our plates are so high piled, we eat so much roti, look like Pavarotti, round as chapati, eating chichon fry, and me one time, and I am a chick, and soupy thick, and we love belacan as much as durian, but matsalis smell and run. We do it at either Actor Studio or wherever it is that we get space. Now the other work that I also do is I started my own theatre company doing performances, which also includes the younger generation, the younger audience. It's called the Jumping Jelly Beans, and we are professional actors, adults, doing this for children and adults as well. And that, in fact, our latest show, Tara Arata, is actually based, we want to teach children, not teach, that's not the word I want to use. We want to show children that their minds, they shouldn't limit themselves. Like what we did was, we looked at a painting, it was done by Jean Miro. It is his first surrealistic painting. It's called The Tilled Field. And we looked at that painting and I thought it was so interesting, the colors and the objects that he used. He had a dog with 100 tails, and he had a white hen that laid a black egg. And so it was all these pictures. So what we did, we looked at that painting and then we created stories, our own stories. We wrote our own stories, and we also wrote some music and words to the music, and we put the show together in a very surrealistic manner with these animation of the pictures from the painting projected on the screen. Funnily enough, we had no idea how this would be welcomed or received by the audience. Funnily enough, every time at the end of the performance, it's like silence, and then a rapid pause, because people, it takes a while for them to realize that you can do anything with anything. And so from a painting, we created a performance. We just took stories together, we put music to it, some dances, and we got a performance of 50 minutes long. So just want to let you all know that what you all are doing is wonderful. Don't let anybody stop you from creating. Just write or just put it down somewhere, or just get together and explore what it is that you have done through theatre. Theatre is one of the easier ways of doing it because people accept it. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I want to say.
Ready for the feedback from
Hi there, good evening. First of all, I heard at the beginning something said, and I think it's very true, and you need to remember this. Everyone is a winner, okay? You guys, give yourselves, all of you, it takes a lot of guts to get up on a stage and talk in front of people, right? We all know that, right? So all of you who did that today, well done. Whether you win or lose, you won a big battle. I remember when I was about 11 years old, I used to stand in front of people and stammer. I was so petrified to speak in front of so many people that I would... And people go, when I tell people that now, they go, really? Okay, so well done, keep it up. Here's a little bit of feedback, all right? For some of you, it's a learning process. You're improving all the time, so do not take this as anything personal attack, as a personal attack on you, but something to learn from altogether, right? Some of these you've probably heard over and over again from Amy, and she's been teaching you. So let it just be a reminder to you. Enunciation. Make sure you pronounce your words and form your words clearly. Right? Take your time. Don't gobble your words up. When you speak publicly, it's different from speaking just on a personal basis with people. You actually need to take an additional effort with your words. Watch your pronunciation, especially, we coming from a Malaysian environment, we like to corrupt our TH sounds. So our TH sound sometimes become a D sound or a T sound. So instead of think, we say tink. Or instead of that, we say dat. Okay, so watch out for those. I got a lot of random notes here, so excuse me if I'm a little bit random, alright? Don't rush through your words. Take time to paint with your words. Otherwise, your words can just become very black and white or gray all the way through. You are painting pictures with your words, aren't you? You're telling a story. So take the time to paint with those words so that we who are listening to you begin to see all those things. Now, one of you told a very complex story about the orcs and the Galendals. Your name again? Ian, right. It's an interesting story, but you rushed through it, and so maybe because of time, right? So it was hard to be able to catch everything that was there and to really absorb it in our minds and to imagine it. Also, when you take your time, if you're doing a memorized script, as most of you were, you will be able to remember what's coming next a little better. When you rush, you get ahead of yourself and you go, oh, yo, what's my next word? What's my next line? So if you're taking your time, it comes a lot easier. You're not so likely to forget. Now the physical stuff. Some of you are a little nervous, so you did very strange things. One very common habit is to rock on your feet. You see this with actors as well. They stand there and they rock very gently one side to the other. It becomes a visual distraction. So you need to get your position, root yourself there, and say what you have to say. Now that doesn't mean you cannot move, okay? But make sure that your movement is always with an intent behind it, okay? One of you got kind of nervous and you slowly rocked and you turned around, and by the time you were finished, you were actually facing this way. So watch out for that. Remember, the audience is here. Use your hands. God gave you lots of little bits of legs, hands, and nose, and use it all. Use your whole body as best as you can, right? If you've got two hands, use them. If you only have one hand, use it, right? And use it meaningfully. Make use of your space as well. Now, we have suggested that maybe in the future you shouldn't use a mic. Because when you have a mic in your hand, it ties up one hand. If it's here, it ties you here. So you can use your space a lot more creatively. It will also teach you to project your voice out loud for everyone to hear as well. We were very encouraged by a lot of creative speeches there just now. Some of you came up with some very interesting ideas. Good vocabulary as well. I cannot remember what it was. Help me out if I'm wrong. Okay? Was it dogs' deliberate droppings or something? Someone said. Dogs' discriminate droppings. That's right. That was it. Yeah. Wonderful alliteration. You know what alliteration is? When all the words begin with the same letter, and it captured that idea of what dogs do very well. Good vocab, and nice to hear words like altruistic and gallivanting and words like that coming out in your speeches. But watch the street language. Okay, this is public speaking, so you need to put aside the kind of language that we use when we're just chatting with one another on the street. Okay? So the American influences, like, with all due respect to Americans here, I was like, right, you know, the constant use of the word right. Me and my family went. My family and I went, okay? But I know we speak like that colloquially la. One of you actually dropped a la. Did you catch it? One solo la appeared. I wouldn't say who. It was nice to see a lot of humor and also poetry being interjected into telling a story, not just interestingly, but also humorously as well. Good work. One final comment. I think that's it. Yes, we would really encourage you not to read from the script because you usually end up sounding more ready that way. You know what I mean? As if you're reading rather than you're telling a story. Also, eye contact is lost with your audience when you are glued to a piece of paper. And eye contact is so important in communicating your story as much as the words are. Everything counts. That's about all I have to say. Thank you so much for the privilege on behalf of all the judges to be here and enjoy this afternoon with you. And I hope you'll continue to give your best. Thank you very much.
Valerie.